Hi everybody, welcome to the YouTube channel The God Evidence. Last week I was briefly talking about the two witnesses of Jesus mentioned in the book of Revelation chapter 11. I also stressed the two witnesses are going to be not from the Hebrew prophets like Enoch, Elijah, Moses, Zerubbabel, Joshua, nobody from the Hebrew Bible, but there are two people who have been born in this planet as sinners as everybody, and they listened to the gospel of the kingdom of heaven and believed in Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. As a result of believing in Jesus Christ, they ought to be filled with the Holy Spirit, then eventually become witnesses of Jesus. Also, I stressed there is only one possibility to become a witness of God, witness of Jesus, and that is to be filled with the Holy Spirit, whether it is the 21st century or 10th century or 1st century. If anybody would like to become a witness of Jesus, then he has to be filled with the Holy Spirit. The filled with the Holy Spirit is not simple. It's an act of God. One has to go through the process of the removal of this parental spirit. As I said, the parental spirit is nothing but the demonic spirit or an unclean spirit, or the satanic spirit that is passed on to us from our parents, from our predecessors, that spirit having its root from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I also reminded in one of my videos saying that when the day Adam ate of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he was died. God was saying to Adam, the day you eat of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you would surely die. That is Genesis chapter 2:17. So when the day Adam ate of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, what happened? God's spirit was breathed into this nostril, was departed from his physical body, and instead, the satanic spirit or a demonic spirit or unclean spirit arrived into his physical body. And thereafter Adam lived 930 years as a sinner. And that is the reason I am saying, if anybody filled with the Holy Spirit, then he has to go through the process of the removal of this parental spirit from this physical body, and instead, the Holy Spirit must be replaced back into his physical body. Then eventually he would become like Jesus. He would eventually become, the witness of Jesus. Otherwise, nobody can become witness of Jesus or God. I have also gave the example from the lives of early apostles and the Israelites. Israelites were led out of the bondage of Egypt. They are about to cross over the other side of the Red Sea. The Red Sea was divided into two. God made a great miracle through Moses, and the Red Sea was standing as a two pillar, and in the midst Israelites were crossing to the other side of the Red Sea. So all of them became witnesses, yet they have rebelled against God. They made a golden calf and worshipped and profaned, the great name of God of Israel. The same you can also find among the lives of the apostles. They were with Jesus since the beginning of his ministry, over 3.5 years. They were with Jesus, but they have not become witnesses during those 3.5 years because of the reason they have to be filled with the Holy Spirit. In Acts chapter 2, we find all of the apostolic people were filled with the Holy Spirit, and that day only they have become witnesses of Jesus. In fact, Jesus was talking to them, saying that do not go away from Jerusalem. The promise of the Father, the Holy Spirit shall come upon you. Then you shall have a power. Then you must be witnesses to me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea, Samaria, and to the end of the world. You see, in the 21st century, we are living in a post-Pentecostal scenario. But in the post-Pentecostal scenario, the Christian means one has to become a witness of Jesus. Remains to be a believer for a longer period is not going to make anybody to be a witness of Jesus Christ. And that's the reason we find among the mainstream Christian pastors, preachers, theologians, nobody can come forward and say that I am a witness of Jesus. In fact, some of the apologists are saying it is not possible to become a witness of Jesus because of the fact they have not available during the 1st century, and that is a fact. But the reason is that one has to become a witness of Jesus. Even if anybody exists before 2000 years, as I said, during the first century, they can't become a witness of Jesus unless, they have to go through the process of the removal of his parental spirit, and instead the Holy Spirit must be replaced back into the physical body. And that is how one might become a witness of Jesus Christ. So when it comes to the two witnesses of Jesus, I have also explained last week, there has been two people who have been born in this planet as two sinners as everybody, and they listen to the gospel of the kingdom of heaven, and as a result of believing in Jesus Christ, they are to be filled with the Holy Spirit and become witnesses of Jesus, mentioned in the book of Revelation chapter 11. These some people also, mentioned in the synoptic gospels, Matthew 16:28, Mark 9:1, and Luke 9:27. Minimum of two people is called some. So Jesus was saying to his disciple in those days, there are some standing, they will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And that is being fulfilled now in the 21st century. So the Revelation chapter 11 and some mentioned in the synoptic gospels, Matthew 16:28, must be correlated so as to come to know who are they, the two witnesses of Jesus.